It's number 2. Game is based on the fact that you can see these bird boxes behind me with Hades and Zeus and Poseidon. The game is, if I do the logo first, how many of you can guess what the god is before I've finished? I will do the name last. So the game is to work out which god is this. I don't know if you can see the writing. If you can see the writing already, the whole thing's stuffed. If you can't see the name already. Da, da, da. I'm told that this is quite an important one, especially in, so these are to fulfill some of the kids that I'm working with. Got a bit of a Percy Jackson thing going on. And the play that is happening, that is the special interest of the day, of the moment, of the month, of the year, really. Hey, Robin. That one was Dionysus. These are going up in the woods, and yeah, the guys that I'm doing a lot of work with at the moment are super into the Percy Jackson series, and I was thinking about, oh, maybe we should, you know, these bird boxes are going to be up high. Some people said about blackboard painting them so that we could change the names, but I think that kind of defeats the purpose of naming them or identifying them. What I want to be able to do is for us all to be able to have conversations and go, oh, I saw some blue tits going into, you know, and then the name of one of these boxes, and I put them all over our site, which is about 3 acres, and I want to be able to identify them. Now, some people were talking about naming them things like beech and oak and acorn and all those kind of nature names. And I think there's something about, oh look, there you go, if I put it like that, then I can get myself in it as well. There's something about covering stuff in nature names when you are already out in nature that feels, to me, sometimes feels a tiny bit suffocating. If you are running stuff and you are running forest school and your goal is to run a holistic experience where you are fostering and developing and building nature connection, I don't think you just bash people over the head with the nature bit of it and expect them to come with you. You need to kind of acknowledge that that's where they are, is interested in these specific things, and build stuff around that. So the guys that I'm with like Percy Jackson, so it's a very small but very meaningful thing to have the bird boxes named after or labelled as the different Greek gods. I think one of the things that we can get trapped in is, when I was a teacher, the classroom was called kingfishers, and the other ones were called different birds. And there's quite a thing of naming stuff after nature, after natural things, especially in early years and primary education, naming things acorn class or squirrels, squirrel class, or things like that. And then when people go into outdoor education, quite often they go from those kind of teaching backgrounds. And so the vibe is like, oh, well, now I'm out in nature, I need to like double down on this even more. Absolutely double down. Oh, hi. Let's go. People talking about, doubling down, and so they name all their groups after natural things. They name all their groups, as I did when we started, little acorns, or they name them big oaks, or you name them like the Ninja Squirrels Outdoors Club or whatever. But there's something where, for me, it reaches a point of kind of nature suffocation. We already know we're out in nature because we're out in nature. If I were to, some people suggested labeling these boxes with tree names, beeches and ashes and oaks, or naming them after birds and all these things. And one of the things that's tricky is these bird boxes are going to be next to beech trees. If you're in a classroom in a concrete, rectangle, then I kind of get that there is a benefit to naming something about nature, naming the class squirrels class or oak class or whatever it is, and then each time it's mentioned you get a tiny little buzz of like, oh yeah, nature, that's nature, that's softened the thing, hasn't it? Thank you for subscribing. And there's something about then going out into nature. If I were to draw beech leaves and oak leaves on these things and then hang them up next to actual beech and oak and ash leaves and all those things, it feels kind of suffocating. It's missing a trick, I think, potentially. Whereas by naming these or decorating them after the Greek gods, oh look, you see how many I've done? There you go, look, that's a bit more of them. I wonder if I move this back here. Oh god, Lewis, put the pen down. Jeez, hang on, 1 second. Let me do that. Put this over here so you can see all the boxes. Let me grab these things. 1 second, bear with me. Da-da-da-da-da. Take that out, stick that in. Right, let's see if this microphone starts to sound a little bit better in a second. Now that I've plugged it in, hopefully this microphone has just immediately switched over. There we go. And hopefully this microphone up here means I can be a tiny bit further away. And you can see all the bird boxes we've done. So I've just done the Artemis one. I've done Hades and Dionysus and Poseidon, all these things. So I was thinking about naming them. And I think these boxes, naming them or decorating them with Greek gods, for now, it's serving the purpose of the fact that the group that I'm working with is directly interested in this. A lot of them have kind of got a special interest at the moment in Percy Jackson, and so it makes sense for me to do these little things to incorporate their interests into the space that they're in. I was just saying earlier that if you are, as an adult, you try and merge the things that you're interested in. When you go to the gym, you don't just talk to people about exercise and watch videos of people doing exercise and listen to podcasts about doing exercise. No, you listen to your favorite music. You bring your favorite music to the gym. You bring your interests to the space in which you want to do an activity. Now, for a lot of children's experiences and a lot of education experiences, you're just not allowed to do that. It is so, what's the word? Kind of like split up, kind of segmented. There's like, this is where you do history, and this is where you do maths, and this is where you do, And that kind of compartmentalizing, one of those words. The experiences and saying you can only do one interest at a time. This kind of a lot of educational experiences are saying, well, focus on one thing. And that's not what adult experiences are. Well, that's not my experience of adult life anyway. My experience of adult life is a lot more kind of like, okay, well, how can I bring something I enjoy to this so that I can make it enjoyable, or maybe make it tolerable? And so just putting leaf imagery or nature imagery on these boxes would have kind of meant that when anybody came to the woods, what are the bird boxes covered in? Leaves. And what are the benches like decorated with? Leaves. And what we're going to talk about? Leaves. And what we're going to like learn about today? Leaves. And it's just hitting people over the head with stuff. And nobody can focus that intently on one thing for that long. I know I can't. It wouldn't be enjoyable. Maybe even if you can do it, it wouldn't be enjoyable. So why not have the bird boxes labelled with Greek gods? And why not have the treehouse decorated with Harry Potter imagery or something? And why not have the story of the day not be a nature story, but instead be a story that involves superheroes or cartoon characters that people know? And because we're in the middle of the woods, when people come here, they are in the middle of a forest. I don't need to bash them over the head, and be like, nature, 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 because they're just here, and all these things. And so I think there is something here. And so, yeah, these boxes now, there you go, there's Hermes, will, for a time, meet the group's needs, that they are super interested in Greek gods and Percy Jackson. And I am modeling through my actions that, like, hey, what you're interested in is important to me and is going to come with you into this space. I will put it here for you. If you are, because sometimes even with the best will in the world, a lot of outdoor enthusiasts, a lot of outdoor teachers, the reason they're outdoor teachers is they bloody love being outdoors. And they have lost the ability to empathize or accommodate people who don't necessarily feel that way, because their view of like being out in nature is so great, just becomes deafening to any thought of like, well, this person's not super interested in this right now, or how do you bring new people in? It's the same kind of panacea views that like, I'll just get people in nature and that'll fix them. Well, it won't fix them. It won't fix them if it's not the type of nature they want to engage with, or it's not linked to anything they already know, or you can't just drop people next to a bush and be like, they'll be happier now. I've done lots of reading around biophilia, and there are genuinely effects of like being out in nature, but they all involve being out in nature regularly, long term, all those things. And so if you want someone to be out in nature regularly, long term, to make it a part of their life, both as children and when they grow up and become adults, then you need to accommodate their other interests, because adult life isn't segregated in that way. And so the idea, but quite often we can get caught up because that is the thing that adults seek. So in the same way that outdoor activity leaders can often be like, oh, nature's the best, isn't it? Nature's the best. And if someone's like, I'm actually kind of struggling, they'll be like, no, you're not. Nature's the best. You'll love it. A lot of adult experiences are overwhelming. The idea that you have to be balancing and thinking about your water bill at the same time as thinking about what's for dinner, and whether you've done the food shop, and what's going on with the petrol situation, and your all those things. And so adults are quite often seeking compartmentalized experiences. They are quite often seeking separation, So they can go into nature, and adults will quite often go into nature and go, oh, that's great, I didn't think about the food shop, I didn't think about whether the dishwasher needed doing, I didn't think about all those things, which is great. But we need to acknowledge that that is not always the experience that young people want in nature. The experience that they may want, and that I've seen time and time again, is that young people quite often want to merge their interests with being in nature. The nature is like the background, it's an integral part of it, but it's not the only part of it. So adults quite often set up experiences basically for themselves. And the most extreme example of that, I think, is anybody that's ever worked in outdoor stuff for kids will have come across this idea of sit spots. This idea of like, you go and put everybody down, find them a space, or give them, or tell them to go and find their own space, and you say, right, you sit here on your own, and commune with nature, because that's what an overwhelmed, over-socialized adult wants to do. That's how an overstimulated adult wants to connect with nature. There you go, we've done Athena. Ta-da! Yeah, that's how an adult would want to do it. But it is one of the hardest things to try and set up and try and run, because that is not, in my experience, how young people want to experience nature. That is not how they do their nature connection. And so much of nature connection activities are actually set up because an adult is looking at them and imagining like, oh, that would be lovely. And then they're like, oh, well, they didn't enjoy, they didn't like go for it very much, or like I had to really work hard to keep those guys from talking to each other. It's like, well, yeah, they're showing you how they want to be in nature, and maybe people don't, young people don't necessarily want full fat, nothing but nature. The bird boxes have got trees on, that have got leaves on them, and the activities are all based around tree knowledge, and the bushcraft is the building project that's on, and the story around at lunchtime is a nature story about animals. And like, sometimes that's just overwhelming. Sometimes that's not, that's, like when they say when children are learning to read, that they quite often need about 80% of a text needs to be known words for children to comprehend a new book. So if you've got kids that are learning like CVC words like cat, dog, bin, hat, all those things, and you give them a new book, 80% of the words in that book need to be words that they already know. And I think you could definitely draw a parallel to nature experiences, which is that if you drop people in a situation where they do not know a significant amount of what's going on, they don't understand the noises, they don't understand the sensory experiences, they don't understand the routines or rules of where they are, you are not necessarily going to have a conducive experience to developing nature connection, because that's a long-term experience. Nature connection takes years, and so you can really, like, if you try and take people out into nature, particularly young people, and you just bash them over the head with nature and go, see, it's great, isn't it? Don't you love it? They'll be like, no. But if you can try and find, now the percentage will be different, and I'm not suggesting that it's 80%, but if you can build into your long-term nature connection, into your provision, that you're like, okay, so there needs to be a significant amount of stuff in the day or in the setting that is already known to them, that is already comfortable from other places. So that might be the story over lunch involves cartoon characters that they know, or that might be that the pictures that we're using and we're going to make them out of leaves is of characters they know from books, that we are decorating the treehouse with Harry Potter quotes or something. You are giving people, a way to access nature in a way that's comfortable, but also kind of giving people a break. It's knackering going to a space that you do not understand, where everything is new. And also that everything is kind of monotoned. Everything is nature-based. Everything is, there you go, I've done Aries. Ta-da! Going out into nature, if your natural space, your provision is just Like, okay, here's the nature. That's what I'm doing. It's probably because that's what you like as an adult. No shit. That's why you've gone into, outdoor education. But you've been doing it for so long, and I have done this too, where you just go for so long that I have occasionally had groups where we've been doing like these crazy plays and building projects and I've got put in the planning for this week this week, for later on this term, once the beach leaves are out, which will be sooner than you think, always is. When the beach leaves are out, I want to take some this year and I want to make them into cough syrup. I want to ferment them in sugar, and I've never done that before. And you do all these cool, crazy things, and then you realise that maybe someone who's joined a bit later on, I've got to go back because that's not where they are. They might have been coming for 6 months ago. Oh, have you ever done firelighting? No. Oh God, we've just been running. And so, while I appreciate the people that were commenting on our Facebook stuff and on our Instagram stuff and saying that these should be, decorated with the names of bird species, or decorated with the names of acorns and oaks and different trees, I don't think that's the best use of these spaces. If I can, do Greek gods on them, it will connect. The group that I'm working with at the moment are very much into Percy Jackson. One of the homemade groups I'm working with, very much into Percy Jackson, and so these are meeting one of their needs, meeting their interest, but also it's me modelling and saying, look, I have taken time and I have taken care and attention over something that you guys are interested in, and I've built it into the space in a way that is not like if you go to some outdoor sessions or some outdoor settings and the entire thing is set up basically for the interests of the leader, because that's why they're in outdoor education or outdoor activity, facilitation, is because they love nature, they love the trees, they love the thing. I'm sat here, I've got leaves tattooed on my fingers, right? I'm not going to say that the idea of putting leaves on things is stupid, because I've done it to myself. But I do know that if I only had leaves as a thing, I would be potentially isolating new people when they came to my sessions, because there would be nothing here that was for them. This is going to be for the group that are into Percy Jackson, but down the line, these will be an excellent resource to talk about like storytelling and to talk about like Greek things. So there we go. I've done my last one, so I'll show you all of those. So I've got, what's that? Aphrodite. I've got Athena. I've got Hermes. In the Percy Jackson books, the kids go to a camp and there's a cabins. Artemis. So I might not refer to these as bird boxes. Ares. I might refer to these with the groups. Apollo as the bird cabins. This is the Poseidon cabin. This is the Dionysus cabin. I'm told by my son that this is a very important god in the Percy Jackson things. We've got our Hades cabin. So this is going to be our thing. Hephaestus, who's the god of the forge, makes all these cool things. This is going to be our thing when we're going around the woods. Oh, why doesn't that shut? Oh no, have I bent the pins? Oh, buttholes. Can I bend it back? Oh no, this is what you get. Sorry, this is what you get when you're a teacher and you have to control your swearing quite often. I would just say the word buttholes is my go-to swear. Look at that, that doesn't shut. Oh, does anybody in the comments know about bird boxes enough to know whether this is going to be an issue? Maybe I can lock it down, tack it somehow. How do I adjust the pins on that? Do I have to do it when it's open? Do I have to adjust the pins like that? Oh, this might be a job for later. And Hera is our last one. So these are my Percy Jackson inspired bird boxes, and my hope is then that as we go around, people can say, "Oh, I saw a blue tick. Where was it? Oh, it's going into Poseidon cabin. Oh, that's great." And that is a bit of nature connection that I can give to this group that links them and their experiences and their interests with stuff that is in the woods. If I had just put leaves on these, then it would have just been another example of like, what do you do at forest school? Nature. And how do you do that? Nature. What is their interest? Nature. I get it. I do get it. Nature is cool, right? I love it. That's why I'm working in this job. But my job is to create a space that helps bridge from wherever people are when they come to where they where I hopefully want them to get, which is to a stronger nature connection. So I'm hoping that these bird boxes will build bridges for the groups that are interested in Percy Jackson. But in the long run, everyone, I've been doing this for, coming up 10 years now. All the kids that I've worked with have known a little bit about Greek gods. And so this can take something in a very non-demandy way. If they can just read the words. If they can't read the words, they can just say, oh, the one with a flower on it, the one with a bird on it. Right? There's no demands in this. I'm not forcing them to learn about ancient Greek stuff so that they can identify the bird boxes. But it's just a little like breadcrumb that I can leave out that people can then go, oh yeah, this is what we're interested in. We do that at Forest School because Forest School, I think, needs to be a space where we're building bridges and also we're combining in that holistic way. We are meeting people's interests and then going, okay, so some of that is now in the space. And this will last and last and last and last. But I'm going to go put them up on some trees now. So thank you very much. Don't forget, like the stream, subscribe on YouTube, check us out, Facebook. Me and Wem do podcasts about Forest School, about alternative education, about community building and nature connection. It is by no means a expert opinion on here's how we do it. We've been doing it 6 years, we're 200 and something episodes in. And we just pick topics and explore them and chat through what our views are. And it's kind of this public learning journey. If you go back through 200 episodes over 6 years, you will see where we have gone on this journey. So if you're interested in alternative education and nature connection and community building, not just interested in the Pinteresty, our vibe is not the Pinteresty, here's how you glue leaves onto the shape of a snowman, or here's how you colour in the shape of different leaves. You go elsewhere for that stuff. Our stuff is the cerebral, what does it mean when you say this? How do you best set up a space to do that? So if you're interested in the cerebral bit, in the kind of the why and the methodology and the pedagogy of Forest School and of alternative education, then go head out, check out the YouTube channel, check out the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places. And if not, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.